Hey, this is Jade. Just want a quick message before the episode. Just wanted to give a big thanks to our two main sponsors, Play Music and JQ Clothing, Gene Queen. They are both huge supporters of the scene, as well as us, bands. They just support events and everything that's going on in Vancouver. Two really great companies, great stores. If you go, I'll put links down below. They're in our links of sponsors, so go check them out and give them some love. Also, just want to give a thanks to all you guys for watching. Please give the video a share. Check out all the bands and everything that I talk about. Go check them out on Facebook. They work really hard, and I always encourage people supporting other musicians and bands. Also, we do have a Patreon. We updated it a bit, and now because if you want to support us, the channel, as well as just help us stay afloat, so we can do all these cool reviews and things like that, and you can become a supporter. Just easy, click the link down below and we'll kind of guide you through the steps there. Thanks again for everyone, and we'll get right back to the video. Hey, it's JD from Support the Scene, and we're here reviewing more songs submitted from all over the world. Normally we kind of focus on Vancouver stuff, but since we're quarantined, I thought let's kind of open this up and let's all unite together and check out some cool tunes. So I think it's really cool, and let's just kind of dive into it. So I really thought it was cool. My musical bias is that I love this kind of genre of music. This is kind of my jam, so I really enjoyed it. I love all the hooks. It's catchy, it's gritty, it's grimy, it's dynamic. I love bands that are able to add some dynamics, you know, make it big, make it small. They're not rushing anything. It doesn't sound like it's leaping from the verse to the pre-chorus to the chorus. It kind of just flows. I really enjoyed it. I thought that the guitars sound a little weak. It sounds kind of like they were either DI'd and then amped it with an amping simulation, or just kind of digital amps, or just something without the raw grit that a lot of more other produced rock and alternative rock do, and hard rock and stuff like that. I think it could have used a little more like in your face pow kind of stuff. The drums were nice. I couldn't tell if they sounded live, but I couldn't tell if they were live or just really well programmed. Everything sounds good. I just wish the guitar had more crunch, and then especially in that lead when it comes in after the chorus, I just wish that was a little more like kind of solo-y. It was a little more like just had a little more just depth in it. It sounded a little more in the box than what I would have originally liked. But I like the tune. I thought it was really catchy. I'll probably listen to this on my off time, and that's just the type of music that I like. So keep rocking. I love this track. It's crunchy, it's kind of in your face, the vocals are just brutal. It's really cool. It's not that normal kind of like screams, but it's got that grit to it, but it's got a unique grit. It caught me off guard. I was like, whoa, what is that? Is that a filter? Is it a cool effect? Maybe it could be, but it was just a cool tone that caught me and really makes me want to listen to more of the track. And I really thought that the kind of doominess, the heaviness brought to it by the instrumentals, really well balanced. I could, once again, it's just a quick minute and then that's all I review. I'm sure maybe the track moves on and there's some cool soloing going on later. I hope that's what happens, or some cool leads, but for what I heard, really cool. Kind of reminds me, since everyone's playing the new Doom game right now, a track that would be in there for sure. I thought it was really well mixed. It was crunchy, but not like over the top where you can't hear what notes are going on kind of thing. It was just nice, and just keep rocking, and I want to hear more. Cool. So the first thing I noticed with this track is that it sounds muffled. It's just the mixing. It reminds me of hearing students mix or mixes by people who haven't been mixing for a long time. The nice thing is, though, it's all organic sounds. What it means is that it wasn't like, oh cool, these are all DI'd in one home studio. It sounds like it was recorded in in the bedroom or in a studio, but just the mixing just wasn't quite there to take it to the next level. It's kind of got too much of a round sound around the drums where you don't hear a lot of distinctions. The snare has a good thud, but it doesn't have a big crack on it. There's no uppersness in the cymbals, and the guitar kind of just sounds like, it's muffled. And I think with just a little bit of EQ and a little bit of mixing, it could sound a lot brighter, a lot more in your face. And then if you carve things away, less is always more. You carve things away, you can make things sit a little better. You'd carve out some of that low end of that guitar, it would sit, and the bass would be able to be crunchy and a little more in your face without taking up too much of the mix, as well as the guitar would just kind of sit there really nicely and just kind of be present without overtaking too much. Once again, you have a lot of those low end frequencies battling it out. And I really like the song structure, got a cool groove to it. And then it went on to the vocals, which were really cool, very kind of like alternative, kind of like the kind of alt rock kind of thing. Really cool stuff. I wish the vocals had a little more production to them, just in a way of like some things were, it's like cool, kind of casually, just laid there, kind of feels like a live performance, but I wished a few more parts were either redone or just tuned a bit, just so that he didn't overshoot the note too much, kind of thing on some of these pulls when he goes higher. And I probably wouldn't have noticed it that much if the guitars were more in tune with just themselves, even, or with everything. When he strummed the chord, you could tell it wasn't fully in, and it's kind of got that like alternative rock kind of sound to it, where it's like, kind of punky thing. But I think for a track like this, if you just tuned it, even though you tune it take by take by take, it would have led to just a cleaner sound that would have sat better with the thing as a whole. You still could have got that ragtag kind of feel around it, but it would have just elevated the song a bit more. But that's just my thoughts in the minute that I've listened to it. So keep rocking, guys. So I really like the build up in this track. Two things right off the bat. One of my biggest pet peeves is when the cleans are louder than the distortion. Normally you hit into distortion and it kind of gets bigger and thicker and grittier and things like that. And it's always a disappointment when you have this nice, cool, clean intro and then all of a sudden it's gonna drop and then here's the drop and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, it sounds like the guitars are way weaker just because they're thicker and they're more distorted, and people always tend to put them lower in the mix because they don't want to overpower things. I always say just make your cleans quieter. Make us wait for it. You know, if we're straining and we're cranking our volume a little bit and we're like, oh man, what's gonna happen? Then the drop happens and it's just like bada da bada bada. You know, I'd much rather enjoy that than like all of a sudden it's like, oh man, here it comes, and then da 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 da, and I'm like, such a big letdown. So that's the one thing. Number two is that I love things with lengthy intros, for sure. But for this format of reviews, I listened to the whole minute. And I think the vocals were just starting to pop in at the end of like a minute 10. So I didn't really get a lot of chance to listen to them. I skipped forward a little bit and heard some different things. But I want to keep it fair to everyone. And just be like, yeah, you know, it was, I enjoyed what I heard. I loved when the synth came in with the heavy distorted guitars. I just wished it was, you know, thicker with the guitars. Like those guitars were roaring and then the synth was cutting through with just its pure edge. You can cut a lot of that synth down and just have that edge and just have those thick guitars and bass drive a lot of it with just a hint of synth over top, and it'll give you a more dynamic sound than like having that full-fledged synth sound EQ band filling up this much space and then your guitar's either sitting way down here or being way too crunchy and being up here. Just kind of EQ, mixing things like that, that will give your dynamics a little more of a boost, at least from what I heard in the song. Sounded good, sounded from what I liked, from what I heard, I liked, but just keep rocking. And keep those things in mind with other tracks and other things. Maybe talk to your mixing engineer, or if you guys are mixing it, do a remix. You know, I'd love to see it remixed where it just comes in thick and boomy, and then, you know, you can always email it to me and I'd love to check it out again. But yeah, keep rocking, guys. I will listen to more of this track on my off time for sure.
Feeling the metal deep down in the soul, swinging the axe like a king. Set me on fire and bring me to life, and your face is melting. Thundering bass lines and punching kick drums, shaking you down in your core. Glorious battle tearing through your ears, a growing desire evermore. Once, twice, three times you're mine. Stars, moons, the planets align.
Cool. So who doesn't love some classic heavy metal? This has got all those cool vibes of a really well mixed track. It was recorded well. It was mixed properly, and it sounds like something you'd hear off like a Man of War record, or some even more modern like Trivium. It just has that kind of reminds me a little bit of Firewind, but like, love it. It's really modern, and it's got heavy in your face sound, so much in a way so though that I can, when I'm listening to it, I can hear that things are being over compressed. So you have a bunch of tricks and techniques to make your guitar sound thick, to make your drums sound thick and things like that. But when you make everything thick, things are obviously fighting for each other for who's in front and who's taking up most of the mix and things like that. So one of the things that some mixing engineers do is they either compress everything together, like all the instrumentals, or they do side chaining and things like that, which help. Like when the vocals come in, you can tell the guitars get squished down, and then the vocals stop, and then the guitars come right back up. That's side chaining. It means it gets triggered. The guitars get triggered and get squished a little more when the vocals come in. That therefore it builds room for the vocals, and it still keeps it up front and in your face. I can, when I'm cranking this and I'm listening to it, I can tell that it's just overdone. You can be subtle with it, but this was like, the guitars, and all of a sudden the vocals come in, or the drums get hit bigger, and things just start feeling squished. The whole track just kind of pulsates a bit, and it's just like a technique that's being overused or just not used in the right way. It doesn't take anything away. Most of the listeners won't notice. They'll just crank it up and it'll be like, wow, this is really punchy and in your face. I love it. I love the writing. I love the riffs. I love how within a minute I got to the verse, I got to the pre-chorus, and I got to the chorus. Bing, bang, boom, got me to the song. I was living it, and I would totally rock this in my car all the time. Just watch the overcompression and playing around with things like that. But cool track. I'd love to see a music video about this, because I just love heavy metal music videos and things like that. So keep rocking, guys. Hey guys, be sure to check out all the bands. I'll try and list their Facebooks down below, or their links and things like that. Go check them out. They work hard, and they all deserve some likes and some shares. Share this video so it helps get the word out, as well as just remember that these are my thoughts. These are just things that come to my mind when I'm listening to the minute of your song. And I've been doing this for years. I've been reviewing. I've worked with bands like Trivium, Firewind, Children of Bodom, as well as Headley and some pop acts and things like that, Monster Truck. It's just my 2 grains of thought, my 2 grains of salt. So don't get too hung up over anything I say. I think all your music is awesome, and I think just creating it's really cool. Keep sharing and keep doing what you do. Be safe in these crazy times, and if you enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up or comment or something like that. That really helps me out and helps the channel, as well as sharing this around and sharing it to your fans and your friends and things like that really help me grow the channel and get more of you guys reviewed, because the more time I can do this, more time I can review songs. So if you know of any other bands or want to send more stuff, the vancities@gmail.com, and be sure to check out all of our other videos, our other reviews, as well as all the live footage and all the interviews that we do, and our regular show, The Scene, as well as our podcast and things like that. Keep rocking, check out our Facebook page, and we will see you guys later. Bye! Hey guys, it's Jade. Thanks for checking out the video. You can subscribe over here, as well as check out some more of our cool videos. And please, thanks for supporting us. that helps us support local and independent musicians all over the world. This is really cool, and I think you guys are awesome. See you guys later. Bye.